Well, hello friends, how are you? This is Joni here at Joni's Journals. And if you remember in our last video, we created this little photo album. And you got a really lousy lesson on how to measure to put your little signatures in your book and make everything even. And we pretty much ran out of time. That video ended up to be about an hour long. Now, this album was made to recreate this album that I made using the photos and some of the leftover ephemera from the kits that came out of the Envelope Project 2025, which I also had a video for, and I will link this. And our story was about Roland St. Clair and Augustine Wilmot and their family and their children and their life story. And you can go over to the other video and see what all of that was about. Now, as I said, our video putting this album together was about an hour, and so I didn't really want to get into decorating any of the ephemera, or not even decorating the ephemera, but putting the photos into the album and decorating the album, so I decided to do it in a separate video. I will link that other video where we created the album, of course, so that you can go back and you can watch that before you watch this one. Okay, now what you'll notice in this album is that I did destroy some of the, distressed some of the pages just so that it would really look vintage. And you can see on here I have some fake mica and I also have some vintage tape. Now I have gone ahead and I have created some more of my fake mica. And this I will link Tracie's video. What you do is you take box tape and you glue it, you tape it together and you ink it and the whole kit and caboodle. Mine never comes out as nice as Tracie's does. Therefore, I will send you over to her video. I'm going to try and find it. And you can watch how to do it properly. Okay. Mine comes out okay, but like I said, it's not as good as Tracie's comes out. And so, yeah, I'd prefer that you watch someone who knows what they're doing make the fake mica for you. Now, I have created my vintage tape as well, and I've done this before, and I did this pretty successfully, so I will link my video showing how I make my vintage tape. Basically, it's clear contact paper, and you put alcohol ink onto the clear contact paper, a few different colors, and you smush it around, and it gives you something that looks relatively close to vintage tape. Okay, so I have a few strips of that prepared as well. Okay, and we'll be using that on some of our photos. And we have our fake mica, and hopefully we'll be able to use some of that too. Okay, so in order to make my photos look a little bit older than they are made to look, what I may sometimes do is I'm going to tear my photo like so. Okay, and you can see that now it has a nice tear in it. And I'm going to ink up these edges with my vintage photo, okay, to make it look legitimately like a vintage photo. Okay, and here we go. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to put the photo into the album first. Okay, so for my very first page, I'm going to glue in the older photos because I want this to look like a succession as time goes along. And I'm just going to take my glue, and I'm not going to glue down the edges because I want to be able to tuck ephemera in underneath it. And so I'm just going to put a nice amount of glue into the center of my photos like so. And I am going to eyeball that it's the center of the page, and I'm going to lay my photo down like so. Okay, I think what we'll do is we'll put all of our photos into the album and then we will decorate around them. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing here, and I'm just going to put glue into the center of the photos, like so. I'm going to eyeball. Oh, nope, we don't want to do this one next. Let's see. We have one set of parents, we have another set of parents, and we have Roland and Augustine. And of course, when I was giving you my crummy lesson in how to measure out where you want to put the holes into your album to stitch your signatures in, I used this page. Okay, let's grab our photo. Now this is Roland and Augustine, and we're gonna eyeball it and center them on the page as well. And we're just gonna push it down, and you'll see that our edges are popping up, but I want it to be like that because I want to be able to tuck the ephemera in. Okay, now let's go back and get the picture of the other set of parents. And we're going to do the same thing with that. We're going to put our glue on the center of our photo, like so. Okay. Eyeball it and glue our photo down. Okay. Now, let's get our photo here of little Charlotte. These are the strings from sewing in our signature. We're going to do the same thing with Charlotte. Again, glue in the center, eyeball it, put the picture down. Okay, like so. Now the photo of Frederick is a lot smaller than any of the others, so he's going to look like he's kind of lost on this page. But we're going to do the same thing with him. Okay, starting to sound like a broken record. And we're just going to go like that. And we're going to glue his photo down. Okay. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go through our little pieces of ephemera. I have pulled out several pieces, and I'm going to show you how to do this bow too. And I just realized that I never cut out a second set of flowers. All right, let's go back to the beginning. Let's do the first page first. And we're going to pick out some things that we think might apply to these people. And we're just going to tuck them around the edges. Again, I want the edges to be kind of mobile, shall we say. So I'm just sticking glue into the center. And I'm going to glue in a few pieces of ephemera. Let's see. Let's do special delivery. Maybe she was lucky enough to receive a special package from her hubby while he was traveling across the country. Maybe he was a shoe salesman who sold door to door. And so we're just going to stick that there. And you can see these edges still kind of will roll up so that we can make them look a little bit more vintage. And all I'm doing is I'm rolling it and I'm kind of poking it with my fingernail. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to poke it with my fingernail and roll up these edges so that it makes it a little bit old and tattered. And we can do the same thing with our delivery label. We'll just pull it up and maybe we'll just crease it down and make it kind of flexible so that, you know, this was an album that Augustine put together for herself and Roland, and it has both their sets of parents in here. So maybe she wanted to make sure that she kept every little piece that she could find. And so, yeah, we have that, okay. And maybe we'll skip that one. We'll do the one of Roland and Augustine because what I want to do is I want to show you how to attach the mica. So maybe I will grab, since the story was basically about Roland and Augustine and their mailing of letters back and forth to each other. Maybe we will just take, and these pieces are kind of big. So let's see. Do we care that they're big? Not really. I'm going to just roll this over here, and I'm going to make it look a little bit beat up, like so. I'm just taking the paper and I'm rolling it over, making it look a little bit distressed, like so. And if the more you push on the paper, the more the fibers break down, and the, I guess, softer the paper becomes. So I'm going to roll over the edges on that, like so. I'm going to grab my vintage photo, and I'm just going to ink that up. And then maybe I'll do the same thing on this side. You can see I'm just rolling the paper over. And remember, we want this to look relatively old. Judging by the pictures, I would say this is like the 1930s, maybe 1920s. I don't know. But we're going to do the same thing on here so then we can make it look old and distressed. Again, a little bit of ink. Okay. And I think what we'll do is we'll just tuck that like that. Okay. So we'll put a little bit of glue here down in the center. Okay. Like that. And we're just going to tuck this piece in behind the photo. Okay. Maybe this was from the first dinner dance that Roland took Augustine to before he went traveling to British Columbia on his professorship as a mycologist. Okay. So we have that like that. And then maybe we'll take this little airmail piece right here and we'll tuck that under there like so. We don't want to stick it too far under. We want to be able to read it. Maybe we'll tuck it in here on the side. I think that's what we'll do. We're going to tuck it in on the side of the photo so it doesn't really get lost on the bottom there. Again, just a little bit of glue in the middle. I'm going to tuck that like that so we can see it was an airmail letter card. And do we have a train ticket that would fit? Yeah, I bet we do. Okay. We're going to take that, and that'll be the receipt from when Augustine went to meet up with Roland when he finally came back to, oh my goodness, where was it that they lived? I'm forgetting. The Valley of the Cotswolds. Okay, so we have that. She took her little self and she went and she met Roland at the train station when he got back from British Columbia. And so we have something that looks like this. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of our fake mica over this photo to make it appear a little bit damaged, a little bit more vintage. I'm going to see if maybe, no matter how I do this, this is going to reflect. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my piece of tape and I'm going to figure out just about how long it should be to fit across the width of my picture. And I'm going to make a little cut with my scissor. Why I'm doing it that way, I will never know. Make a little cut with my scissor to just about where I believe the width of the picture is. And I'm going to cut off that excess piece of tape. And I'm going to glue this on, just covering their faces. Because even though you may not realize it, you really can still see what the picture is below the tape. And I'm going to run a bead of glue along the side and along the bottom here. And I am going to place my little piece of fake mica over my photo just to make this picture look even older than it already does. Okay, and it just touch this glue. The glue will disappear. Okay, it will not show. Once this glue is dry, it will not show behind the piece of tape here. And we're just gonna push that down so that it stays stuck like so. And I will show you in this album what I mean, because I did it the same way on here. And again, they're gonna reflect, I can't help that. But I glued this piece down as well, and you really can't see the glue behind the tape, okay? Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna kind of let that dry, but we're gonna flip back. Oh, did I move it? No, I didn't move it. I thought I moved it. We're gonna flip back to here. And remember, we've ripped to this photo. What we're gonna do, we're gonna kind of maybe roll it up a little, like so, okay? Like this. And we're gonna take our vintage photo and we're just gonna ink that edge there. And we're going to repair our torn photo. And we're gonna use a piece of this fake vintage tape, which I'm gonna cut a small piece of off. That's my Roger snoring in the background. We have to do yet another repair or a quote-unquote amendment to our back fence because, oh, little Whiskey's getting bigger and bigger as time goes along, and Whiskey has learned how to hop, and he almost cleared the 4-foot fence the other day, and so my husband has to make yet another adjustment to it to keep this darn dog in the backyard. My cousin has gotten a dog as well, and although I try not to, it appears that sometimes my dogs and her dog go out at the same time, and they want to really meet each other. So yeah, it has not been a fun week. I'm a nervous wreck every time I let these dogs out. Okay, after all of that fiddling, I got my piece of tape off of the backing of the contact paper. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to lay it down over this tear, and I'm going to repair the tear with my vintage tape, and I'm just going to lay the tape down over the torn part and leave it like so. And now, because when this album was put together, you know, the glue may not have been the best. We're going to kind of glue this little ticket up here down as well. And we're going to make it look like the little ticket had to be taped to the photo so that it would stay in place. Now, getting this started is not the easiest thing to do. And so I'm just going to kind of fiddle with this to try to get the tape, to get the paper, the sticky part off of the contact paper. And if you just mush it around enough, it will come off. Let's just try cutting a little piece off the corner here. And let's see if we can get it started that way. Okay, come on. We're gonna get, oh, there we go. There we go. So, yeah, there we go. We got it, okay? So I'm gonna lay another piece of this vintage tape over on the corner of the photo and push down like that. So now it looks like the whole thing has been taped down, okay? So that's basically how I will go throughout the rest of this album, and I will just tuck little things in and I'll age them like so, okay? And then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to take portions of my pages and I'm going to rip them, and I'm just going to tear off chunks of it, maybe a whole corner. Maybe I'll just roll it over like so, because I want it to look as old as it's supposed to look. And I'll just go like this and tear out another chunk. But in order to save my album from tearing apart, I can apply another piece of my vintage tape. So we're going to make one more attempt, and we're going to peel this off. I'm going to get it this time. And I am going to, whoop, there we go. We got it started. Or did we? Oh, come on. I knew I should have started these tape pieces. Oh, there we go. That wasn't so bad. I am going to take a piece of my tape, and I'm going to place it over that tear, like so. Okay. And I'm going to wrap it around the back, and I'm going to seal it up. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm going to take it, and I'm just going to fold it over the back, and I'm going to save my page from tearing anymore, and it's going to end up looking something like that. Okay? So that's how we'll do it. I mean, that's how you can do it, and you just go through the whole album like so, and you tuck in these little pieces, of course, and you're going to glue them down. Okay? But now let me show you. I'm going to take this little bunch of pink roses, okay, and I'm going to pretend that this is Charlotte's communion bouquet, and I'm going to show you how I age this bow, or not age it, but make it look a little bit more sparkly with my Wink of Stella pen. And then we're going to glue in Charlotte's little bouquet into the family album. I'm going to first see, before I even squeeze this, I can see if there's any. Okay, what you would do with this is you just give a little squeeze here. It actually says push, okay, and you push on there, and that will help get the ink flowing. And then I'm just going to lay it down on here, and I'm going to color over this whole thing, and I'm going to make it nice and sparkly, like so. I'm going to squeeze it a little bit more, and that's how we sparkle up our little bow. And you can actually even add some to the flowers if you wanted to. I got my Wink of Stella pens off of Amazon because they are available there. You can also purchase them at your scrapbook supply store. I'm sure either scrapbook.com or Simon Says Stamp carry them. But my one that I had dried up, and so I wanted to order another, and both of those places were out of stock. And so I went to Amazon and I ordered a couple off of there. I will try to link several places for you to purchase it, because I know some people don't like buying craft supplies off of Amazon. Sometimes it's a little bit more expensive, but depending on how quickly you need it. Can you see how sparkly that is? It's very subtle. Depending on how quickly you need the supply, you might want to order it from Amazon. Now you can see this one was the first one that I colored with my brand new Wink of Stella pen, and so it's a bit much. The ink overflowed and pretty much soaked up the bow, but once it dried, it wasn't too bad. I'm tilting it back and forth so that you can see that even if you made a little bit of a mistake, it's still, the image behind it still shows. So I think what we'll do is we will use the bow that we created together in lieu of using this one, and we will put our bouquet, Charlotte's bouquet, into the book. Oop, wrong book. Oh no, right book. Okay, we will put Charlotte's bouquet into the book with her brand new sparkly bow, which is actually very old. Now you can see the glue has already dried behind the tape, and you can't see it. Okay? All right, let's find Charlotte's page, and let's place her bouquet down. Now, you and I both know there wouldn't be that many leaves left on a bouquet, or at least you wouldn't see them, but that doesn't matter. We're going to try and cover them up with our bow. So let's see if we can place this just like so that our little bow is there and our little dried flowers will be underneath. Okay, so I'm going to glue the flowers down. Then I'm going to glue the bow down as well. And I'm going to make sure that, oh, I think my glue dried up a little. Now, if you don't believe that people do this by placing flowers into a book, or perhaps you're not of the age where you might not do this, I am going to be 63 this coming July. My mom, who was born in 1933, married my father in 1952 or thereabouts. Yeah, 1952. She had a family Bible. It was a small one. And if you were to open that Bible, you would find my mother's sister's corsage from her wedding, along with my mother's corsage and my corsage from Easter when I was about 4 in 1966. Okay. They're still in there. I'm not going to say they're not disintegrating, but there are a couple of dried flowers in there from those years, oh, so long ago. All right, what you see me doing is I'm putting glue towards the center of our little bouquet bow, because I, again, want the edges to be able to be flipped up and perhaps distressed a little to give them more age. Okay, so I'm just going to push that bow down, and there we have Charlotte's little communion bouquet. And I'm going to roll up the edge a little, like so, and just make it look a little bit beat up or distressed. And maybe I'll roll this over too. And again, this is all ephemera and pictures from the envelope kits, okay, from the Envelope Project 2025. If you search up the hashtag, again, if you go back to the very first video, you'll find all the links there that you need to get you to all of the videos that were made by the creative design team for Tracie Fox, and also for some other makers who are not on the creative design team. And you'll find Natasha's videos and just all sorts of stuff. So there you go. Very simple, very quick. I just wanted to give you an idea of how to decorate the pages on the inside of your album, because we ran out of time before. And there you have it. Okay, I have another video to do today, and that is going to be with Tracie's Jumbly Dolls kit, and I'm going to start that one as soon as I finish this one. So I'm going to send you lots of love and big hugs, and ask you to please remember to like, subscribe, and comment, and check out the links in the description box below the video. If you click on that little word more, it'll open up another section for you, and it'll give you access to the other 2 videos that I spoke about, as well as the if you click on the Envelope Project video, you'll see where you can purchase all of these little beauties and get all of this ephemera. It's really a lot of fun to work with. Okay, guys, I'll see you soon. Love, hugs, like, subscribe, comment. Take care now, and I'll see you soon.